Look out, it's the midnight hour, baby!
I wanna come back to those times where all movies were so scary. A blood red light, we're creatures of the night. I wanna come back to those times and kiss the pretty scream queen. I wanna come back to those nights, my horror night.
Welcome to the Last Video Store. I'm your host, Bud Hattenfield. And on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about 11 of my favorite werewolf movies, along with an unboxing of March 2023's Horror Fanbox. So to kick things off, my honorable mention, because I made the rule that it has to have a real life werewolf, and this is going to be a spoiler alert, my honorable mention is 1988's Hard Rock Nightmare, which is supposed to be a werewolf movie, but it's more like a Scooby-Doo slasher with a man in a werewolf costume. This is a cool movie directed by Dominic Brasso. I know I'm butchering his last name. Brascala? Whatever the hell it is. He was the Joey that got chopped up in part 5 from Friday the 13th. New Beginning, the one that wanted a candy bar that pissed Vic off. This is a cool little movie that has Troy Donahue, which he was a big deal, I think, back in the 50s. So Hard Rock Nightmare. Dark Force Entertainment just put this out on Blu-ray. It looks amazing, and it's also streaming on Shudder as we speak.
Over here! Go ahead. Make my day. Shit! Look at the face.
It's made of rubber.
He was Dirk. But why would Dirk do this?
Number 10 spot is going to be Moon of the Wolf, a 1972 horror movie directed by Daniel Petrie, and it takes place in Louisiana. This one's fun. Vinegar Syndrome just put this one out on Blu-ray, and I think you can find it on YouTube streaming for free.
The destruction of the victim, and only 2 methods of destruction are known: death by burning or death by shooting with bullets that have been blessed.
Who doesn't love Dog Soldiers? And it's the perfect for my number 19 spot. 2002, directed by Neil Marshall. This was a cool little Scottish movie. I remember it premiered on the Sci-Fi Channel as a sci-fi original movie. We finally got the perfect edition of it with the right, I don't want to say pressing, but the right release that looks the best. Shout/Scream Factory put this one out on Blu-ray a couple years back, and this one also you can find it on YouTube and Amazon. Number 18 spot goes to Bad Moon, which is a 1996 movie directed by Eric Reed. Stars Mario Hemingway, Michael Pear, and it also has the kid from Dennis the Menace, Mason Gamble, I believe it was. The werewolf was really cool, and the German Shepherd, that's in one of the lead roles, Thor, I believe it was Thor. But the short story, or whatever the hell it was called Thor, and it was based on that. So it's pretty cool. Like I said, the werewolf looks badass. Some of the hokey CGI doesn't date too well, but it's still awesome. And I think you can find this one on Amazon Prime right now. Number 7 goes to 1988's Waxwork, which is the original. This one was directed by Anthony Hitchcock. I'm probably butchering up this name, but it has the little dude from the first and second Gremlin movies, Zach. It's not Zach Galifianakis. I know I'm going to screw that shit. Zach Galligan, along with David Warner. It's a pretty cool wax museum movie that all the creatures come to life once you go over the little barriers, and the people who get killed become a part of the scene. This one's really fun. The sequel's not as great, but it has Bruce Campbell in it, so it's a positive. But it has a really cool werewolf. It's not the main part of the story. It just has to have a werewolf in it. That's one of my rules. And this one has a real life werewolf. So, Waxwork. This one got put out by Vestron, and you can find it for pretty cheap. And I think it streams on YouTube and Amazon Prime as well. The ball rolling. We're going with 2014's Wolf Cop, a really cool horror comedy. I'm a sucker for horror comedies. This one was directed by Lowell Dean, and the main character is Lougarou, which is pretty funny because in Louisiana, Rougarou is what you call a werewolf. And dude just gets turned into a werewolf, and he goes serve justice one gory scene at a time.
Grab it!
Went on with 1986's Dead Time Stories. It's a fun little anthology, and it has a cool take on the Little Red Riding Hood story with a werewolf. I think it's pretty cool. It's kind of cheesy looking today. Another one that didn't date so well, but I think it's badass. Another one that Shout Factory put out, and I believe it's streaming on Amazon Prime along with YouTube. Number 4 is going to be 1987's Monster Squad. This one was directed by Fred Decker, and it was written by himself and his partner Shane Black. This is a cool movie. If you haven't heard this, check this out right now. It's a bunch of kids who come across Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, the Wolfman, the Gill Man, the Mummy, and it is pretty cool. Jonathan Grice, who played Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite, portrayed the human version of the werewolf, and this is where we learn that werewolf has nards. So, Monster Squad.
He's gonna kill your son!
It's hard to rank the top 3, and now that we're down to it, it's going to be Silver Bullet. This one was directed by Daniel Attisis. I'm butchering it up. But it stars Corey Haim, Everett McGill, Gary Busey, Megan Follows, and the guy who played the stepdaddy on The Stepfather, Terry O'Quinn, I think his name is. Pretty cool, very gory. The werewolf kind of looks like a bear mixed with a wolf, but it looks badass. And I know it was originally supposed to be directed by Don Coscarelli, which I said in one of my previous films, and he had left production after getting into it with the producer Dino De Laurentiis. He made a bunch of cheesy movies in the 80s. But Silver Bullet's based on a Stephen King novella. Check it out. Scream Factory put this one out as well, and you can find it currently streaming on Amazon Prime. My number 1 and 2 picks both came from 1981, and the number 2 is going to be The Howling, directed by the amazingly cool Joe Dante. This one stars Dee Wallace and her husband, Oliver Stone. Nope, I got that wrong. Christopher Stone. And that's how she became Dee Wallace Stone. This one's really cool. It has Patrick McNee, Dennis Dugan, Kevin McCarthy, John Carradine, and Slim Pickens. This one came out in 1981, like I said, really cool. Rick Baker, who was working on the special effects on this one, left when my next pick was being made, so he jumped ship and he actually won an Oscar for the creature design. So number 2, The Howling. If you want to check out the sequels, they're definitely a fun time. I'm not going to say you're going to have the best fun, but it's going to be cheesy, cool fun that you watch with your buddies. So check out The Howling. Number 1 is going to be my favorite werewolf movie of all time, and it's going to be 1981's An American Werewolf in London. This one was a really, really cool, fun movie directed by John Landis. At this time, he had did a bunch of comedies, such as Animal House, The Blues Brothers, and he wanted to dabble in horror. He had did Slock, I think was the name of it, which is kind of like a Neanderthal caveman monkey creature. That one had some horror elements to it, but he jumped along with this one, and he did just fine with it, with a mixture of comedy and horror. This one stars the awesomely cool David Naughton. He was a singer in the 70s and Dr. Pepper spokesman, which he lost that sponsor. Well, he lost the job of being the spokesman over this movie because he's running around naked. Not much I could say. His best friend was Griffin Dunn, who was the brother of Dominic Dunn, who was in Poltergeist, and she was murdered by her boyfriend. So fuck that guy. So the werewolf looks awesome. The story's cool. We get Frank Oz, who played Miss Piggy. Definitely fun times. The Slaughtered Lamb is the coolest name for a bar. So stay on the road. Beware of the moon. And watch out for the Moors. I know I butchered that up too, so I apologize. All right, we're going to be going over March 2023's BAM box. This is the second one I've got, and I recently subscribed. Last month was my first one, so we're going to check it out and see what is the contents. I subscribed to the horror one, obviously, but they got a lot of cool stuff. I think it's an anime and a sci-fi and another one, but I could be wrong. But I'm new to it, and I'm going to learn over time everything that it has. So let's check it out. All right, let's see what we have. Got some cool paper. Oh, sweet. Okay, so we have the City of Derry, Maine police badge from the It series. There's a glare, but you probably can't see it, but it is really cool. Heavy, nice, nice work went on to it. All right, the pin is going to be a Belial basket case pin. Like I said, the goddamn glare. Okay, our artwork is going to be from Leprechaun 3, which is one of the better ones of the series. Well, they're all great, but I just love part 3. And the signature, Elliot Fallon. I think that's his name, Fallon. That's he played the little brother in Terrifier 2. So overall, not a bad haul. Cool. Definitely think it's worth the $40. Check it out.